Hey, I'm back.
Hey.
It's been 2 weeks since I've been on Odd Musings, but I'm back for episode number 272. Hey, guess what else is back? Have you heard what else is back?
What?
Check this out. Now, it's always this time of year you hear about the monster cereals.
Oh, that's right.
They're back, but this year they brought back Fruit
Fruit.
the cherry flavored cereal. First, I wish they bring back Yummy Mummy too, but they didn't do that this year. So, but Fruit Root's back.
Yeah, I saw that one. I saw it at Meijer the other day when I was in there.
I was surprised because I hadn't really paid attention to anything, but usually you just get the standards: Count Chocula, Boo Berry, and Frankenberry.
Mm-hmm.
And then several years ago, they did where they brought back all 5 together for like the anniversary or something like that of the cereal. So they had Yummy Mummy. They did the white boxes like this. This is that a little bit different design. It's got this, I guess, a graffiti artist named Yaws, and they're doing a thing on the back of contest with him that you could actually win some statues, look like 3D printed stuff that he designed. So I was like, whatever. I like the original design of them, and I don't like that little kind of like static look of them. I was like, it's all right. But it's monster cereal time, and today's the last day of kind of like almost like August 31st almost kind of like the last day of summer for so many people. And they look at September 1st as, it's fall because they can go get their pumpkin spice crap everywhere. So
right.
But
pumpkin spice everything.
Yes. And that's what it seems like anyway. So, but this is the last weekend coming up of the of what everybody calls summer because it's Labor Day weekend and all that. So it's kind of, and I notice here in Michigan, there's already some slight changes to see out there. It's been warm, but trees and that are trying to start to change a little bit. Different things are happening. As you can see, fall will be ushering in soon, and I'm definitely not ready for it. I still want some more summer. So
yeah, I'm already like noticing the shortened days and stuff like that, and I like the long days.
I got up for work on Monday, and I'm getting ready to leave at 6:30, and it was still pitch black. I was like, "Oh, come on, this sucks." I liked it when it was bright white light outside at 5:30 in the morning, and stayed that way till 9:30 at night.
Yeah, me too. That's my perfect days, but can't stop the winter from coming in. Winter is coming.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So as Darren Starks would say.
Well, I did watch that first. We won't get into it today, but I did watch the first House of Dragon. I got to get caught up on this last episode.
I have to say I'm really enjoying it. The first 2 episodes were good, and I'm hopeful to see where it is. I'm very surprised. I'm surprised, but not surprised at the same time. Mm-hmm. Matt Smith's role is phenomenal in this, and he really is a great actor. It's just my first introduction to him was as Doctor Who, and he's a particular kind of a goofy doctor, and so when I see him in these serious roles, it's like, wow, Well, I still think of him as the Doctor.
Yeah, Doctor Who kind of threw him out into the mainstream where a lot of people knew who he was before that. I know he'd been acting for a while before that, but really from there he has done a ton of different stuff and just a phenomenal actor. He's one of my favorites out there currently. So
yeah, so definitely worth. I mean, it's only 2 episodes in, so time will tell, but it feels like the magic is back. As far as I think they really went back to the looking at how was Game of Thrones initially and what worked. So,
from what I can tell, though, it looks like George R.R. Martin's actually involved in the storytelling this time, so that's going to help out.
Yep.
So cool. But hey, we got a little business to take care of, so I'll get us started here with Loringer Family Chiropractic Center PC, located in Belleville, Michigan, and Dexter, Michigan. As you see on their Facebook page, they've updated a little bit because chiropractic, the backbone of good health, and they are also promoting the fact that they are a holistic, integrated office with a primary focus on chiropractic care. A lot of big words there. But at their offices, they do offer on-site digital x-rays, massage therapy, orthotics by foot levelers, young limb essential oils, aromatherapy, full line of vitamins, all in a family-oriented environment. Give a call to Belleville location, 734-697-4244. You can visit online at largefamilychiropractic.com. We have a link at Odd Musings for you. But, of course, you can find them here on the Book of Faces with the Call Now button. I've already liked their page. You can send them a message, and it looks like they're trying to do better on the website of stuff with the Facebook and keep it.
I like their logo too.
Yeah, that's a cool, nice update on that. And definitely it's something. I was there yesterday. I got adjusted last week when I got back. I worked Thursday, and when I was done working, I went and saw Dr. Corinne out in the Dexter location since I was out that way, and got adjustment just because after flying twice and being gone for a week, I definitely needed it. And I got adjusted yesterday on my regular appointment. And of course, with some changes in the office, they do take vacations. And since Dr. Anna's going to take a vacation here in a couple weeks, I scheduled myself out in Dexter for 2 weeks in a row because I'll be gone with the amazing Las Vegas show. And it throws off my schedule a little bit. And I want to make sure I keep my adjustments up, keep my health going. I mentioned in the last couple of times, some knee issues, back issues that cropped up all of a sudden. And they're doing much better. Still got twinges of pain, but I'm nowhere near like I was before, walking much better and getting around. And really, it's attributed to chiropractic health, getting adjusted, working out the problems. This is where I think chiropractic is way better than modern medicine, because a lot of modern medicine say, well, just go to the therapy and they want you to stretch, use the band, stuff like that. Nothing wrong with that. I've been doing stretching and things like that, but you still have other issues that they help correct by things have moved and shifting them back into place. And that's where chiropractic health helps.
They really aim at the source of the problem, which is crucial.
Yeah. And they're about curing the problem, even though a lot of times you can't necessarily be fully cured, and they admit that, but they're not trying to treat just a symptom. They're trying to figure out what the problem is and fix the problem.
Yep.
And that's where chiropractic really helps in maintaining a healthy lifestyle. So definitely check out Loringer Family Chiropractic Center, located in Belleville, Michigan and Dexter, Michigan.
Awesome. And also we have Team Titans of Real Estate. Why? Because you matter. Even though we utilize the latest in tools and technology to maximize your home buying and selling experience, we never forget, at the core of it, it's a people business, which is why we make relationships our number one priority. The more we know about you, the better we can custom tailor our approach to maximize your results. So give us a call, 586-232-5144. The market is shifting. So for those of you who were potential buyers who were hoping to buy a house over the last 2 years, but you just didn't have that $40,000 in extra cash sitting around that you needed to guarantee appraisals and all the craziness that was going on, now's a great time to get back in the market. There's been a little price correction going on. There are still bidding wars for the houses that are like everything's updated, move-in ready, everything's, new roof, new windows, new furnace, granite counters. Those are still getting some bidding wars, but they're not like they were before. Bidding wars now are 2 or 3 offers, whereas just 8 months ago, it was like 30 offers would come in. So it was pretty crazy. So the market is shifting. Time to get back into the pool and look for a house if you're one of those potential buyers who got pushed out of the market. Give us a call, 586-232-5144, and Jill and I will take great care of you.
Excellent.
So really quick, before we get into things, I just want to share, speaking of Jill, I'm just going to bring this up real quick. We started a GoFundMe. I did. Jill, for those who've been following, has been taking care of her daughter, Emily, a lot. She's now 10 weeks in the hospital. She had a bone marrow transplant. It's been very up and down. Just to be blunt, she has Down syndrome, and it's a much more difficult procedure to tolerate for Down syndrome patients. There's not a high success rate, and so everything had to be perfect. And thankfully, that part of it went amazing. The bone marrow transplant went well. They had a perfect match. All that went great. But now it's the post effects where she has a brand new immune system. It's the donor's immune system. And one of the consequences of that is it sees many of her own cells as foreign body. So she's been fighting what's called graft versus host disease, which is a fancy way of saying like when you get a heart transplant, when your system attacks the heart, the donor's heart, it's rejecting the heart. So in this situation, it's almost rejecting her. So it's attacked her skin, her intestines, all kinds of things. And she's been shedding out the old, and as the new mutually created cells are coming in, it seems like she's doing well. So, but it's still a very up and down process. Jill's there right now. And, but in the process, over the last 2 years of fighting this, Jill has missed a lot of work, and she really didn't want to do a GoFundMe. She's been pushing it off. But with this latest bout where she was supposed to only be in the hospital 6 to 8 weeks, we're now at 10 weeks, and there's a minimum of 2 to 4 more weeks, they're saying, before she even comes home. And then at that point, it's 3 to 6 months of round the clock physical therapy. So we put up this GoFundMe just to help Jill with some of her monthly bills. She really appreciates everybody's donations. If you can help, that'd be great. I'm going to post the comment in the comments, and every little bit helps. What is this? What is GoFundMe at? There we go. I put the link in there. Every little bit helps, but also sharing helps. So if you could share the link, that would be huge too. So she really appreciates everybody jumping in and helping.
Yes, I've shared that a couple times and on my personal pages, and a lot of people that they may know me, may not know Scott or Jill and all that stuff. And I don't share many GoFundMe's out there. I only share those I truly think are worthwhile because of the people involved that could actually use the help and not just try to get money. And I also worry about sometimes people make GoFundMe's and they're not actually for the person. You find that a lot, unfortunately. But Scott and Jill have been together for quite a while now. They've been partners, not just in real estate, but in life now the last few years, and working hard together. And it's great to be able to help out with this. And we really wish that Emily will be coming home soon and they can move on to this next chapter of her continuing to be better and enjoying life.
Yeah. And then unplanned simultaneously, I didn't really plan on this happening, but we also have a Kickstarter. So I'm just going to be very brief on this.
Mm-hmm.
Kickstarter is going well. We hit the minimum funding goal. We're at $931. If we hit 1,500, it unlocks another pin. So we've unlocked the first stretch goal. So we're moving forward. 8 days to go. Check it out. Makes great gifts. I think we'll have them in time. We'll see. I can't guarantee it though, but I'm hoping to have them in time that you could receive them before Halloween, in which case these would be great Halloween gifts as well. So check that out as well. Just go to bardstone.com and you can find the link on there.
Yes. And same company we used with the Poe pins, and that several other people we know. They're a great pin company. Quality is solid. We talked about this before. I've got one right here with the TMAS 24 one, and you can see the quality, solid, good quality pin. Not cheap, and it's metal.
Yeah,
metal
it's
pins.
From a company called Infinity Pins. They do a great job, and a good friend of ours, Jay Fife, works there, and he takes our artwork and converts it to what they need to make the pins. Yeah, and wonderful job.
Yeah, fantastic.
All right, let's get into the fun now.
Yeah, I would say we start off with a little She-Hulk because we just got a couple episodes to talk about, and I can get too deep into it because we got a new episode tomorrow. I'm enjoying this show a lot.
I am. I'm pleasantly surprised.
I like the comic. I read several iterations of the comics over the years. The last run I read was the Kirkman run, which I think held on a lot, and it referenced even some of the older comics and showed that they were actually different versions of She-Hulk in different multiverses at the time, without getting too deep into it, since they've for decades have kind of had these multiverses throughout the Marvel. Yeah. It's a way of them to create different things, do different stuff in that. But a lot of fun stuff, a little bit of Easter eggs here recently.
Yes.
I missed it. Scott pointed out to me. When I watched it was kind of half watching after work last week when I was tired. And
I only knew about it because I saw somebody post it. So I had missed it the first round.
Yeah, so it's on a computer screen. It says related article. It says man fights with metal claws in bar brawl.
Who could that be?
Yeah, and then why is there a giant statue of a man sticking out of the ocean? So they are acknowledging
potentially Wolverine with the man with the metal claws,
as well as the
Eternals with the giant man statue sticking out of the ocean.
Which they've announced doing another Eternals movie or something.
What's funny is though, it's the giant statue sticking out of the ocean is just a little side blip. I think the whole world would be freaking out if something emerged from the earth like that.
Yeah.
Like no one even talks about it.
Yeah. I think the one of the biggest revelations though, throughout these first two episodes so far really to me has been we learned that Steve Rogers is not a virgin.
Oh, we covered that before.
I know, but it's just hilarious.
I know.
And it's like, oh, well, he hooked up with some showgirl when he was doing the tour.
To me, though, see, this is the whole double standard thing that drives me nuts.
Mhm.
So the entire show is her complaining how she gets catcalled and all this, but the entire show she talks about Steve Rogers' virginity. It's like,
Well, and
come on.
her screen on her phone, the lock screen is Captain America's ass.
Yeah, right.
You
So
know,
she
otherwise
complains
known
about
as
being objectified, but all
yeah,
she's doing is objectifying.
yeah, otherwise known as America's
Yeah.
ass.
People just need to just stop with all that bull crap. The fact is, people objectify people, and women do that towards men more than anything. Just go watch Magic Mike.
Yeah.
It happens.
No, go work in any type of regular like entry level pay. Like go work at fast food or something with a mix of people. I can't. I mean, back when I was
Yeah.
18, 19 years old, working in fast food and stuff like that, the women were way worse talking
Oh, yeah.
than men when it came to
Yes.
objectifying, sexual stuff, things like that. I mean, it was just nuts. And let a guy say something that's like, "Oh my god, you're such a pig and a hog." I'm like, you were just talking about what
Yeah.
you know.
Well, just like in this, it's just going to be a small touch on this because overall, I really did enjoy it.
Yeah.
But her egging him on, the moment she turns into She-Hulk, right away, her first words to him is, "Well, I'm better than you. I'm better than you." And everything, she's like, "Well, I learned everything first try. I'm better than you." So finally, he gets mad and he hurls a rock in space to show how much stronger he is. And then she's like, "Oh, look at you." Ooh. You know, and it's like, come on, stop.
Yeah.
Be grateful you're alive. His blood saved you. There was a revelation in that whole little thing, though.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't say it outright, but it sounds like Bruce Banner's description to her of why they survived the gamma ray, because the dosage of gamma ray in his blood should be lethal. He said there's a genetic, it sounds like they're mutants, and that their blood will process gamma radiation in a way. So that's their superpower, is their blood processes gamma radiation.
Right.
So he doesn't say that they're mutants. The word is never used, but the way he describes it, it's a genetic difference, which is
a genetic mutation at that point. Yeah.
Right. So the Hulk is a mutant, possibly under the definition, the way Banner describes it to Jennifer.
Right.
So
yeah, and it's kind of, but of course, there's been so much speculation, like when are they going to introduce mutants after they can? When are they going to bring mutants in? They don't need to rush to bring mutants in, but I think that little things like just little Easter eggs, like man with metal claws, the bit of the blood, they're hinting a lot more at the mutants being around, just not seen yet. So that will be revealed at some other time.
Yeah, they're definitely introducing that concept in a very subtle way, so that when it happens, I think it'll just feel like they've always been there.
Yeah, I did find interesting that Jen's dad is Mark Lynn Baker, who is in Perfect Strangers from the '80s, and he's a good comedic actor. He's also in Ghosts.
Yeah,
because you mentioned you were started watching Ghosts. He plays the pain in the butt HOA neighbor. And,
yes. Yep.
I always liked him. I always thought he's fun, and seeing him even and is older now, still acting and playing the older dad / almost a grandpa in some ways. He's still quite funny in that. So, but I like his questions about, like, he's asking about Hawkeye,
yeah,
things like that. So it's like you're getting these outside people now asking her, since she's now a superhero, though she had zero connection to anything prior to her turning to She-Hulk. Like, well, what about this and what about that?
Yeah.
So it's like, you're a superhero now. She's like, but I ain't done nothing.
Yeah. So she's, in a way, she kind of reflects Peter Parker in a way where, like, Peter is a superhero. He's Spider-Man, but he wants his normal life. He's working to be a student. He stays in college. He wants to become a scientist. So it does make for good storytelling when somebody has this split life and they have to choose between the two. Now, with her, she's kind of similar in that she wants to reject her superpower to have this normal life and a career, but at the same time, her superpower, like Peter Parker, he can be Spider-Man, walk through the streets and everyone won't know it's Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. He just takes off the costume. But for her, if she turns, everyone knows who she is. Plus, she made a very public turning, so even in her private life, everyone knows she's She-Hulk. So it does set up a great storytelling. You need conflict for a character, and so she'll have to learn to balance the two halves of her life. Whereas with Bruce Banner, his was more the classic Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the ego versus the id. Because when he would turn, he would lose all of his consciousness, and it was just his primal instincts kicking in. And that created a different kind of struggle for him. Now he's smart Hulk, and he seems to have it all together. But
Yep.
I am hoping they return to a Savage Hulk at some point here.
Yeah, I was looking at Collider to see all the Easter eggs I missed and things like that. And one of the things they do mention, it's been across different boards, is with him now going out in space as Smart Hulk, and he's pursuing something. What's it going to mean? Are we going to get more of a World War Hulk style thing? I mean, the Hulk we saw in Ragnarok was kind of the Savage Hulk. But it was a little different Hulk, where World War Hulk becomes different when he goes to Sakaar. It's a completely different environment than where he was at with Thor and Jeff Goldblum and all that. And it's also is there, they reference the Edward Norton Hulk. So that puts the Incredible Hulk in canon with all of this.
Well, it's always been different in canon.
Yeah, well, it's been disputed a couple times, even though it's kind of always been there. It's just the change of actor. The character was the same. It's just a change of the physical form of the person that played that character. It's like, are they going to try and do something and split that off? Like, okay, this actually it's referenced, it happened, and they're going to imply that it happened with both Mark Ruffalo's Hulk and Edward Norton, but in different multiverses, and then they're going to see a convergence of that. I know that the reason they didn't continue on with Norton is because of creative differences, because Norton was kind of difficult. And what it was is it wasn't that big. It's decently done movie in terms of money, but it wasn't as big a hit. And I think he wanted way more control and way more money than he deserved.
Did you see the second episode of She-Hulk yet?
Yes.
Okay, so there's the joke. So first of all, to tie in Abomination, I love the angle they're taking with Blonsky, who turns into Abomination, where he's like, I was supposed to be the good guy in this. The Hulk was rampaging through the streets. I was given the super soldier. I was supposed to be the next Captain America. Yeah. And I was sent to stop the Hulk. I was the good guy, and here I am. Meanwhile, he's walking around with toys and lunch boxes. And so I thought that was a really great twist to the story, because it is true once you listen to it. I mean, because we know the Hulk. We know the Hulk is ultimately the good guy, even when he's raging and destroying. So you see Abomination as bad, but when you see Blonsky, the actor, I'm forgetting his name off the top
Tim Roth.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal actor. He does a great job.
I've been a fan of Tim Roth for well over 30 years. He was really big during Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, so I really like this thing. What was the series? He had a TV series I really liked.
Oh, I'm going to look real quick.
I can't remember the name of it.
He's done a lot of great stuff. He's been a great independent actor for many years.
Yeah.
But he's been around for, like I said, he's been acting for a very long time. He was in Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs. Him and Tarantino are pals, so he's done a lot of his stuff there. He was great in Tin Star was a series he was on. Is that what you're thinking of, from 2017?
No.
Okay. Older. He was also in Planet of the Apes. He played the main ape.
Oh, that's right. He was.
And he was great in that.
What was the series he was in? It was probably about 10 years ago, I'm guessing.
All right, let's see here. I'm trying to find what I can see here. I'll just go right to IMDb.
Yeah.
The Google's got everything kind of thrown around there. Well, he did let me see. He's got Last King of the Cross coming out as a miniseries. We go back a little ways. Tin Star from 2017 to 2020. Twin Peaks. He did some of that. The revision one when they came out in 2017. Klondike was a miniseries he did. Lie to Me was another TV series from 2009 to 2011. That probably is the one you're thinking of.
Lie to Me.
Yeah.
It was Lie to Me.
Yeah, it was on Fox.
Yeah. Yep, that one I really enjoyed, because he had a way of analyzing people's body language is what it was. He was a body language expert, and so he would work on these cases, and he could figure out who's telling the truth and who's lying. I thought it was a very well done series.
Yeah, and he's got a long credit of stuff for acting and stuff like that. He's been around since first credit started was 82, so he's been around for 40 years now. Just a fantastic actor. I've always liked him. I liked him in the role of Abomination. It was.
So, and to your point, so they've been kind of, like you said, hinting at whether or not it's technically MCU or could it be considered multiverse.
Yeah.
Because like they brought him in on Doctor Strange, but we didn't fully know if it was the multiverse version of Abomination or the Edward Norton Abomination.
Mhm.
And in here you hear the backstory and they directly reference the fight and all these, so you now know, like, okay, he's talking about that specific event. So that's where the confirmation is. But I love the joke that they slipped in is Jennifer is calling her cousin Bruce to find
Mhm.
out, is it okay if I take on this case for Abomination? Because I know you guys had a personal history. He's like, I was literally a different person back then, meaning a different actor. So I love how
Right.
they threw that little thing in there for the fans to chuckle at.
Yeah, and it goes both ways. It was definitely, in our world, yeah, it was a different person, and then in their world, he was a different Bruce Banner / Hulk.
Yeah.
Jekyll and Hyde syndrome going on for sure at that point. So, um, but yeah, it was just showing that, and I like that. And then, of course, then we get like the confirmation of Bruce in space at that point,
Yeah.
talking to her. So,
From a technical aspect for She-Hulk, they did improve the CGI from the initial trailer. There are some scenes it's a little clunky, and it kind of takes you out of it slightly. But the more you watch it, the more you get used to it, and then your brain kind of self corrects for that.
yeah,
And I think, like, by the second episode, I think I was used to the CGI enough that it was no longer a hindrance for me. Um, there's only a couple times where she moves and it just doesn't look natural. So it's like, I don't know. But
yeah.
like I said, I'm getting used to it.
Well,
It's
I think
almost like,
a lot of it too is they're while they've done decent on the spending, they're not putting tons of money into this.
yeah,
Majority of their money is going into her CGI design.
yeah.
A lot of it is very practical sets, very practical setups.
Well, even
Um,
with like the Incredible Hulk movies and stuff, now he's much more, they have more funding for the movies now.
yeah,
But usually the majority is Bruce Banner, so they don't have to spend a fortune on CGI. And the money goes into when he does the change, a fight scene, then they go back.
right.
Here, I've seen articles where they've talked about, like, yeah, we underestimated the toll it would take making our main character CGI almost all the time. So
That's why I think they've had her switch quite a few times during these two episodes, with only being like 20 something minutes each, less than 30 minutes.
yeah,
She switches back and forth, and goes back to regular a lot more than I thought she would.
yeah.
So,
But she has that ability. She can go, she
right.
can change at will. And regarding the comedy level, it's been a little more lighthearted, but it hasn't been goofy.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that. The fourth wall, they haven't overused it. I don't feel they've overused it. So I feel like it's not an issue there. Um, sometimes when they do fourth wall stuff, I feel they overdo it
Mhm.
and it just takes you out of the story too much. They're just sprinkling it in. So I haven't had any issues with it. How about you?
Yeah, no, I've been fine with that. And the thing with the character is she's always been, at least when the issues stuff I used to read, she would bounce out like that and kind of just talk to the audience, things like that. And it was done, I would say even really before Deadpool. So for those that want to compare it to Deadpool at all, this is not a Deadpool-esque thing. And it's been done before, not just by Deadpool, but it's characters like these that on the comedic side of stuff are going to talk to the audience directly, like, "Hey, I know you're there. I know you're watching. So
Hmm.
I'm just gonna fill you in on this stuff instead of you having to spend an hour waiting to find out.
Yeah.
So things like that. So it doesn't bother me too much at all. It's the bouncing back and forth. I assume as it goes on, it'll kind of become a little less and less. 'Cause you don't need it too often.
Right.
So
But yeah, so I like it. I don't feel like they've gone. How do I put it? Like, one of the fears was how woke it was going to be. I don't feel like it's woke. They do have the female empowerment part, but that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
yeah,
It's just, how do you go about it? I felt at the beginning she was like demeaning Bruce a little too much, but I felt like I feel like it kind of came, like, the whole second episode was, oh, turns out I don't have as much control over this as I thought, and oh, I am going to have to turn, and all the things Bruce
yeah.
warned her about started happening.
And a lot
So
of that attitude and confidence, she had some of that as an attorney, a little bit, not much, but
right,
the She Hulk coming out of her now. amplifies her
Right.
emotions and things like that. Even in the comics, emotion, how she was, her confidence was way up. Definitely her sexual drive went way up in the comics. 'Cause that was definitely referenced a lot. I've said before. I mean, that's what's neat about seeing the Wolverine thing. She tried to hook up with Wolverine in the last series I read, and he's like, "Nope, I don't want Juggernaut's sloppy seconds." So I never slept with Juggernaut, which of course another mutant reference. So we could see some more of that. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, She-Hulk. I definitely recommend checking it out. I know some people like the Ms. Marvel. I just really couldn't get past the first episode. I may go back and visit, may not. I don't think it's detrimental for me understanding anything going forward. But the She-Hulk, I'm enjoying it as itself, and that's all I want. Is I want to enjoy these series as themselves. Because if I'm not, it doesn't matter what they lead into. If it's not enjoyable watching, I'm not going to watch them.
Yeah, and we still have Daredevil scheduled to come on board, so he'll be
Yeah.
involved. I wonder if they'll be going against each other in court, maybe, or will they be partners in court?
I'm thinking they're going to be going against each other because she's now signed up with the for the superhero. She loses her job, and then she's now with that prestige law firm that she was going against. That's why she gets the Abomination thing.
Yeah,
I think she's going to be going against Charlie Cox, and then we'll learn about the Daredevil tie-in, which I think may even set up the Daredevil series in some ways. Little hints, not the full setup, but we'll definitely be around there. So, I was looking to see how many episodes we get for this. How many episodes in She-Hulk? Come on now.
my guess is 8.
I'm thinking it's 6 or 8, but 9 episodes. 9. So, and then October 13th is the season finale of that one there. But I like it. I like that if they're gonna. This would be a series that they could use. She doesn't need a movie. She doesn't even need to appear in the movies. But being with the attorney and dealing with the superhuman law side of stuff, they could interweave different things through her series as they're getting ready to release stuff in some of the main movies. Because they've already did the hints of that. I mean, they already referenced Abomination in the fighting cage at the end of the second episode because he's escaped from jail, and there's a video of him fighting in where we saw Wong at. So so
but I think from what I'm reading, it sounds like it's pretty certain she's going to appear in any future team up movies for the MCU. We'll see though. They definitely want her to be part of this next the Phase 5 as a key player.
Yeah,
and with them sending Hulk off into space, that can give you, she can be the Hulk for the Earth-based movies, and the other Hulk can be for the space-based movies. You know.
So and Scott and I were speculating since they had Thor in Guardians of the Galaxy, maybe we'll see Hulk, and that's where he's going to end up at is in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. But
the other thing I want to bring up too that everyone keeps forgetting, everyone's so excited about World War Hulk, but we have not seen Nick Fury on Earth for a long time. It was a shapeshifter, the Skrull, who was playing Nick Fury, and we found out Nick Fury has been in space for over a year. So we don't know anything about that. So Hulk going out into space, it could be Nick Fury is part of this Sicarian thing.
And don't forget, we're going to get a Secret Invasion tie-ins, so that we will see more of that down the road.
Which Nick Fury is a huge part of that.
Yep. So I think that's really we're going to see him pop back out, and I'm not sure where Hulk's going to pop in, but I think it's going to all tie in together somewhere down the road.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think it's leading to that at some point. So I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward. Oh, also with She-Hulk, if you're not doing it, after they have mid-credit scenes at the end of each episode. So
yes. Yep, I've been watching all straight through the credits until it goes small.
I like the last mid-credit scene. It's she's this world-class superpower, and the family's using her just to lift heavy things in the house and move.
Oh, that was great. Put the TV. Her dad's got to put the TV up. Do this, do that, and their cousin's like, "Well, I work at Best Buy.
I could do that."
It's like you don't know what 4K is. Come on, man. It was, and that's what I like about this. It's very sitcom-y.
Yes.
A little. Oh gosh, what was the one with from the late '90s? The lawyer one that was popular for. I had the dancing baby.
Ally McBeal.
Ally McBeal. It's got a little Ally McBealish in there.
Now that
we're gonna see, not too much, but
they claim that Ally McBeal had no influence on this. That when they were writing this, they personally didn't know of Ally McBeal because they're all too young. And it was only afterwards that they, in watching Ally McBeal, they're like, oh, we see why people would think that. But that's according to them.
Yeah.
Um, they did say what show they watched. There was a show they inspired by with the fourth wall stuff. I'm blanking on it.
Hmm.
Um, darn, I'm forgetting. Anyways, what? But the quote that little made me a little bit worried was she said, "Once we started writing, we started realizing really quick that none of us are good at writing legal drama." It's like, oh, that's not a good promotion for a legal show.
Well, I don't think anybody that's really good at writes is going to be good at writing legal drama. That's why you always have a legal consultant involved. So it's that's something you just they need to look at. I mean, it's like every show I see, here's the legal consultants. They use them for all the you
Yeah.
know talks and things like that, so they know what they want. So
Did you see these promotional shots come out? They were looking at Bridget Nielsen as She-Hulk back in the 90s.
okay,
And these were test photos they did using her.
look wise wouldn't have been bad. I just think she's a horrible actress, but
Yeah, it's very 80s/90s the look.
oh god, yeah. I mean, she was Red Sonja, so I mean, it's
Right.
and she was okay, but realistically, as an actress, I never really thought she was
Yeah.
that good.
But
But
I had never seen these photos before, so it was interesting to see these popping out everywhere.
yeah, physically, she had the build for it. She really was that big, so she's like
Well, yeah,
six something. So
yeah, she's like 6'2" or something, which
yeah,
is very tall for a female. And then you throw the high heels on, and She Hulk is 6'7", so they could
yeah.
definitely make her 6'7" with heels.
Oh,
You
god.
know,
Well, they don't even really have to. They just make it look like because you get like all the actors are like 5'3" anyway. So I
yeah,
mean, Tom Cruise is barely 4'10" and a half. So
4'10". This is for people who
he's as
don't
tall
know.
as he's as tall as mom.
Yeah. For people who don't know who Brigitte Nielsen is, this is her. This was her back in the day,
Yeah.
and then wasn't she married to Sylvester Stallone
Oh
for a
yeah,
little bit?
they got married. Just a tumultuous relationship. She was
Yeah,
she's one of those ones that was just out of her gourd. I think she's always on drugs the whole time, anyways. But
yeah,
who
I,
knows?
I believe so. That's
Yeah.
been. Did she have to go to rehab or something? Or
Oh yeah, she's had
yeah,
serious issues for years,
yeah.
and
So, but that was part of our 80s,
yep.
1980s. Brigitte Nielsen. The other one, where did Grace Jones ever go?
Oh gosh,
Remember, she was
she
popping up everywhere back in the
she
day.
popped up something. Oh gosh, a couple years ago.
Did she?
She was crazy too, but
Was she crazy, or was that her persona for the public?
it could have been her persona because they never got locked up or anything like that. But just pulled her
Like
up real
Brigitte
quick.
Nielsen, I think was crazy.
Yeah, pulled her up right now, and she was married for about 8 years. She has one child.
Okay.
She is 74
Is
years old
she?
now. Yeah.
Wow.
She has a website. Let me see if her website pulls up anything recent. Um, she's done music over the years. I bet you anything she's one of the ones that, well, we don't see much of her. She's done more like overseas. Yeah, here we go. Grace Jones Live 2022. She's going to be in this next month, Seattle, Oakland, and Los Angeles. So she's still
Oh.
performing.
Hmm.
So she probably just pops up here and there, smaller stuff. She.
Do they have a current photo of her?
Let me share.
She had a very. She looked like Wesley Snipes' twin.
Yeah.
If Wesley Snipes was a woman, it would have been Grace Jones.
So there's that. But here's that's as close.
That's old. That's like in the 80s. There.
No, they're saying that's
That's
recent.
current.
They're trying to say it's
Really?
current.
So she's still doing that.
Yeah, you look at the
super short hair.
tour. The tour thing. Look at here. Physically, she looks about the same.
Yeah.
She's got all kinds of music. I guess. Just goes way back. So she's an automaton, I guess. So
A what?
she's fake. She's not real. An automaton.
Oh, let's see.
See, here we go. That's Icon Magazine. Let's see if I can get some pictures there. So
Here's a current one here.
yeah.
Here, I'll throw this one up if I can find my StreamYard. So that's her now.
Yeah.
I mean, for 7'4", she looks great. But
Yeah,
see, she
and
looks like
basically it's
Wesley
all
Snipes to me.
yeah, she always has.
They
So
they could be like brother and sister.
yeah. So, but yeah, and then the other one that could be, I think it's Doctor, of course, but it's just it is
Yeah,
what it is. But yeah, I've seen her pop up a couple things here and there, so she's probably just you know she can show
yeah,
up, make 50 grand a night performing or more, and then because they'll sell out whatever venue. I mean, it's like she's filling out like Fox theaters in
yeah.
like LA, Seattle, so those are decently filled places. So
I don't know how I got into Grace Jones, but she popped in my head.
well, her and then Brigitte Nielsen around the 80s, they were all popping
Yeah.
up through all the Stallone and Schwarzenegger movies,
Yep.
and they were
Wasn't Grace Jones in the Conan, the second Conan movie?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
she did
think.
the
I think.
Conans, yeah.
Yeah.
And then they popped in like through the Eddie Murphy stuff, things like
Hmm.
that. So just again, they were just interesting characters that were real people. So
Yeah, they were. Yeah, in the '80s, they're like the actors themselves almost became characters.
yeah.
You know, so good stuff.
Yeah. So we got the Orville. So Scott did you finish the last episode?
I finished it. Yes, I enjoyed it. It was a great ending to the season.
Mhm.
Like we said off camera. You told me it almost marked the end of a chapter for like these first three seasons. It gave it a great ending, but it's definitely open for wherever they want to go.
Right.
But definitely by far the most exciting episode was the ninth episode of season three.
Yeah, and that one was now supposedly there was supposed to be one more episode, and that became they've got a book available you can get through ebook on Amazon of an episode that would have taken place prior to episode 9. But it wasn't detrimental to the overall storytelling. So because of costs and COVID, they scrapped it, and Seth released it as an ebook. So you made it
Yeah.
as a little novella. But definitely it was and when that episode 9 happens, and we'll get into all this in a minute, it goes really back to the first episode, which I finished up the first 2 seasons again and started the third season, first episode, just the first 20 minutes this morning. And it definitely goes back harkens right back to that
Yeah.
with the characters and everything else. And you see the journey um, of really, this whole season was more than just the characters we knew. This was following a brand new character.
Yeah. So
So
for those who don't know, we're going to get into spoilers. So if you
yeah,
haven't seen season 3 yet, we're warning you now. It's available on Hulu. It's also available on Disney Plus. So either
yeah.
of those platforms, you can watch this.
And I got it
So
pulled up
you've
here.
been
You can see
warned.
Disney Plus. I recommend watching it on Disney Plus. And the reason I say that is they're monitoring Disney Plus, I think, more to determine if they're going to renew it.
Yes.
And now my speculation, it's unsubstantiated speculation here, is that next week is the D23 conference, which is the Disney fan club group. They do a lot of announcements there. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see a Orville announcement there. It's definitely getting a lot of buzz online. People are still talking about it. And there's a lot of different fan groups saying, watch it on Disney Plus, watch it on Disney. And a lot of people say, I'm streaming it all the time and watching it because we all want another season. And there's been more and more hints that it sounds like season 4 could be announced fairly soon from little buzz things here and there. It's still not guaranteed until they actually formally announce it, though.
Yeah. It's but for me, my single, and this is what I told Brett, I truly believe season 3 of Orville is the single best standalone season of any science fiction show ever.
Yes.
Like it's great sci-fi storytelling. Seth has really gone old school, so to speak, with how he's telling his stories. He's getting deep into topics without preaching them. He tells the story in a way that allows you to see both sides of an issue. Um, I think it's phenomenal, and the whole story arc of this character Charlie. They did a masterful job of making the whole season about her without you don't even realize as you're going through just how much of a role this character is, but until the end.
Yeah, she's she's the whole conduit for this season. And they're actually dealing with the outcome from season 2 with the
Mm-hmm.
battle with Kalon, which I'm watching that. And I forgot that the battle with Kalon, as I'm watching season 2, especially, it's like, man, I forgot so much of the show because I only watched it the one initial time they aired. I hadn't rewatched the Orville. Um, and so I watching these, I'm going, wow. And then you get to the Battle of Kalon, it's a two-parter, and it there's still a couple more episodes after that. And those
Yeah.
episodes could have happened prior to, but they really do need to happen afterwards for things that happened. But so when the season 3 starts up, it really is a reference right back to those episodes, and the fact that, okay, Isaac came back and was part of the ship. They had never addressed that issue of him coming back, because the last two episodes for season 2 were the Kelly time travel episodes, where they brought Kelly from the past to the future, then they had to send her back, and then the next episode was she had changed the timeline. They had to go back and fix it, and that was the end of the season. And
Mhm.
once they fixed it, we knew Isaac had been around. They dealt with Isaac as if he had not saved them. That was part of the time change. Um, so with them starting off with this whole thing and having to deal with that and the fallout from him coming back, it really made for a great episode. And the episode's like an hour and 8 minutes long, the first episode.
Mhm. Yeah. And there's a few episodes too that are an hour and a half in this season. That was another benefit of going to Hulu and Disney, was they were given the time to tell each story as they needed, instead of being locked into what did you say, 43 minutes?
Yeah, 43 to 45 minutes is a typical 1 hour show because of commercials.
Right.
Depending on what they want to do. If you look, there's some shows that if you watch, they're like 38, 39 minutes because they have a ton of commercials. And not to sometimes to do a storytelling, they just like, well, we ain't got enough room, we'll just fill it with commercials. And they do it on purpose sometimes, especially with 22 season series, 22 per episode or season, it's 22 episodes. You get so many filler episodes, they're shorter ones, like 39 to 41 minutes, because they know they're gonna sell more ad time to pay for the longer episodes, which still don't go over usually 45 minutes.
Oh, it does bring up an interesting thing. You got to be careful as an actor now. Like, actors used to get paid per episode, but if you do an 8-episode season, that's an hour and a half each episode. You really did the work of 16 episodes.
Well, in a lot of ways, yes, and that,
So
but
you
it's
need to
also
get
depends
paid
on how
by
they.
the minute.
Well, it also depends how much you're in those too, because
Well, yeah.
like this one here, the little bit of trivia that popped up on IMDb, which I'd heard about before, is they Seth pre-wrote the entire third season, and a lot of that had to do with they got renewed, and he started working on it, and he's been the writer through the whole thing pretty much, anyways. And then when COVID hit, that shut everything down for a while, so he wrote everything out. Him and John Kazar split the direction duties for the 10 episodes. So when they went through and decided everything, like when they decided not to shoot that one episode, they didn't like shoot things for it and say, scrap it. They chose ahead of time as they're getting ready, because they were planning the COVID protocols on how to film this thing. So what they were doing is everything was written in advance. And so based on availability of locations, they had all the actors, just so they could minimize, them having to come in and out so much, would come in, they would film multiple episodes at once in the same locations.
Yeah.
So a lot of the, okay, here's the ship scene. So they probably shot all the ship stuff over a certain period of time. And then when they had different location stuff, okay, all these people are going to be at this location in different episodes. We're going to go here, and they would shoot those. And so a lot of it was shot it was shot like most films were, just not in order, all over the place. And realistically having to plan certain things. So if there's any physical changes, they had to incorporate that in as well.
The other benefit too in doing that is it gave the whole season a unified voice, since he pre-wrote the entire season ahead of time. It gave the whole season a unified voice. By knowing ahead of time what locations you're going to need for all the episodes, you're going to save so much money. And okay, we're going to have 4 different episodes shot, parts of 4 different episodes shot today, because we're at this location, and you just do it and get it over with, So they've done a good job. And that's got to be a huge savings for the show, budget-wise.
Yeah, and they did a lot of the things a lot of shows done recently. They minimize locations as much as possible. So a lot of the same stuff over and over. But it's like, when they go to Earth, and they're dealing with a time travel episode with Gordon. Phenomenal episode.
Oh, yeah.
Loved it. And, so they had a lot of stuff they had to set up there to cover different things. So I think it was great, and it helped out a lot, all this stuff, anything to do with like Bortus, and he dealt with that. I mean, it's hard to get into all the different episodes because there's so much that we can get into. We haven't got all day to spend, 10 hours on this whole series.
So when you mentioned Bortus, the image of Elvis Bortus popped. They're able to do so many such like over the top goofy comedy through Bortus because he's such the straight man as far as his tone and everything. But oh my God, Elvis Bortus just cracked me up.
Try to see if I can find a.
I couldn't believe when it opened up and he comes walking out in the full white jumpsuit.
And the problem is he was just so static. He was just he didn't have any emotion on it. They don't have any images online, so I can't really find anything on that. But it's great. Well, it goes back though to the first season when I'm rewatching the first season because it came out in 2017, so it'd been almost 5 years since I saw the first season, the start of it, anyways. And Scott Grimes in real life can sing, and then we've seen his character Gordon throughout the series at different times sing. And something's about singing, and Border's like, I can sing. And if I can look at, yeah, whatever. Of course, Clyden's like, oh, you found one, good. Yeah. Oops. Sorry. Yep, there it is.
Yeah, let me zoom it in. We gotta zoom it in.
But yeah, it was great. And the thing is, he's singing like Elvis songs, and he sings them straight. I mean, there's like no emotion, nothing else. But it's just
me tender.
And this was the bachelor party, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the lamest bachelor party ever. Yeah. Because Isaac wanted to have Scott Grimes, Gordon, be the best man because he's funny and all this, and Bortus just injects himself into the scene like, I am funny. I'm known for my humor on Mocklin. And he just takes over the role.
And this goes back to the first season. He's going to sing. We see him sing in season 2, but it's all the little things with him. It's like when Gordon tells him that he would look good with a mustache. So he has a mustache. That's what I love that episode. He's got the mustache on the whole time. And it's just like, he doesn't acknowledge it. But everybody else is like, oh my God. What is that on your lip? And the only reason he gets rid of it because he actually liked it is because Clyde goes, I don't like the way it feels when we kiss.
Yeah.
And things like that. And then the episode where they find the time capsule, which set up the time travel episode for Gordon a little bit in season 3, because in the episode 2 or season 2, they find the time capsule and there's a phone, and in the phone is this woman's phone. She has all her text messages, all her videos. They are able to get it up, and he creates. Gordon creates a simulation. Create a simulation of the phone of the character or the person in there as its own real life person. So he gets in a relationship with her and stuff like that. So that kind of set all that up too. And I just love that they've been really good about referencing all this previous season stuff and bringing it forward on that too.
So here's the thing I'm wondering moving forward, because a couple things. One. Like, I was waiting for the sandwich to come back, and it did.
Yes.
But the device was destroyed, but it still appeared.
Yeah.
In season 2, when they did the time travel thing, they did show a multiverse version of Kelly where we got to see the different outcome.
Yes.
So will there be a multiverse? Like, if they look up, like, I wonder if Gordon looks up that woman on the cell phone, will it be the images of his life? Like, is there now 2 of him? Is there a version of him living down there, almost like a multiverse version of himself, who had a child, and her whole, like, if he looks up her phone, will he see pictures of him and his life that got branched off? You know what I mean? Like, I just wonder.
Well, and that was the interesting thing about that is, they went back to the time to try to convince him to leave from then on. At that point, the timeline had been changed. And then this is where the real flaw I had in that episode was, then they're like, well, we really don't need you. We're going back. I just came to tell you that we're going to go back and you're never going to experience this. And it was a painful thing to see because it's like, okay, was it really necessary if you could just do that? Just go back and change it. He would never know. What satisfaction did Gordon and Kelly and Mercer get from telling him that?
Well, it wasn't that, I don't think. I think it was, well, first of all, they screwed up the jump and they missed it. So they came 10 years later than they planned.
Yeah.
Then they found out they had got enough of that dilithium crystal stuff, whatever it is in Orville. And it's like, okay, we have enough where we could jump and get him there. So they went, I think, for one last ditch effort to get him to come with them so that they wouldn't have to resort to that. And he refused. So then it's like, fine, then we have enough. We can go back 10 more years and get you that.
Well, and that's the thing I had a problem with. I would look at it like they've talked about from season 2, talking about they all study basically time travel if it can happen. This is things. I mean, they all expected it's something that with traveling at basically through space at light years, they expected some type of form of time travel could affect them. So they've a temporal history and stuff like that. They've looked at that stuff and studied it. They should have known that they shouldn't even gone to him. That's the flaw I had was that they should have gone back and just rescued him when they should have. It wipes out that timeline then. Since they did that, I mean,
Yeah,
different theory. The timelines themselves, even when once created, even if you go back and change it, it just creates a whole new timeline. It may be a same one that mirrors the one that happened before, but it's
well,
still technically a totally new one, depending on how
yeah.
you look at time travel theory.
Well, then they had. I'm forgetting the order of things too, because Lamar figured out because the issue they had is they had enough to jump back to 10 years, but not enough to jump back to the future.
Right,
But
and
then
then
he's like, well, if we turn off the warp bubble, we'll let Einstein theory of relativity kick in, and because you can go forward in time, but you can't go backwards in time.
right,
With Einstein, the faster you go, time moves. Relativity.
right.
Um, so they're like, well, we can just do that to do it. So I'm trying to remember at what point Lamar came up with that solution too, where well they had already they figured that out before they went back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
before they
so it
went
would have been better to just go back.
right, and that's the whole thing I was saying. It. I mean, I love the episode. I truly did. It was the end part that they did that. I was like, man, it felt like and in some ways, it still affected Gordon. They kind of showed a little hint of that, but Um,
I just
I just thought that they should have just said, they're like, hey, we're going back, and no, you can't bring your wife, no, you can't bring your kids, and this life you've known for 10 years is gone.
Yeah. Well,
And
this Kevin brings up an interesting thing here. Now, Seth MacFarlane is a massive Star Trek fan, and he works
Mhm.
so much Star Trek inspiration into his show. I never thought of this, but just mentioning with the multiverse versions and stuff,
yeah,
could they be setting this up with a Gordon creates an evil version of the Union
hmm
because of his anger at Seth going, a Mercer going saying, "Well, I'm just going to go and erase your timeline." That could be planting a seed for something like this,
hmm
where we get the evil versions of everybody. So, that could be something in season 4. I could see Seth like planting that seed for something because we've seen like he's using stuff this season that he planted back in season 1.
right, and he does pull stuff out, but yeah, I mean, they could do a mirror version,
Yeah.
definitely, and that's where we've seen now the timeline's been split a couple times with Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
So there was an alternate there. Now by going back and changing Gordon, they go back and twice with that one. When they go back second time when they actually do another change, that's
Yeah.
basically we've had a couple, so we got like 3 timelines, and they could ultimately within that you could say that the those timelines, different timelines could start getting split, and that's where a mirror universe could pop up.
Yeah.
Which I think would be great because then if they do bring Bortus from the mirror one, having him have a goatee and mustache would be just hilarious.
Yeah.
Or even worse, and probably Seth, he'd probably like, we're not going to do goatees, we're going to go with Amish beards,
Oh, yeah.
which I think would be hilarious, especially because he'd put it on all the females too.
Right. That would be
So,
funny. The
yeah,
other thing to point out too is season 3. We got one final performance from Norm Macdonald. He pre-recorded all of his lines before he passed,
yeah, and that
so
helped
he
with
could be
having the
used.
entire series written ahead of time. They got
Yeah.
with Seth got with them and they recorded that. I mean, they talked a little bit about that during the panel at San Diego I saw with them. They talked a lot. The thing with the panel is that not everybody was there actor wise that wanted to be there, but every single actor up there said the same thing. And it's not just we want the job, want the job. Everyone wants a job as acting. They also say we want to continue on it. This was the best season ever. We enjoyed making it. We want to continue making this stuff. And they also said the same. We want to go 7 years. They're thinking Star Trek. Star Trek. A lot of Star Trek's gone 7 years to create the amount of episodes they need for
Yeah.
syndication. Now, of course, all that's changed with streaming. There is no syndication, but
Yeah.
7, 8, 10 years would be great. And I think that with this season, Seth has set himself up to not be the focal point anymore. They have fixed the initial thing with the series, which was his and Kelly's relationship.
Yep.
We see them at the end of the series here holding hands. They're kind of like, okay, hey, they've resolved themselves to be who they are. And now, if they were to get back together, though, they've dealt with that a few times through season 1 and 2, and a little bit
Mhm.
season 3. It's like they don't have to get back together to still have that relationship in terms of they can work together. Everything's fine. They're past all that animosity and history they had.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Well, I fully predict the show only gets better, and my prediction is I've said before. I think Disney sees the potential, but their potential Disney is more than a movie company and a
yeah,
TV show company. They're also an amusement park company. I could
right.
fully see an Orville ride where they recreate the bridge, much like they did with Star Trek when they had the Las Vegas Hilton and they had the whole Star Trek experience there. I
Yeah,
could see them doing something like that with the Orville, where you are able to walk on the bridge, and then you know, like the old Las Vegas Hilton. Did you ever do the Star Trek experience
no,
when
it was
that was around?
gone. I didn't go to
So
Vegas then, so
when you enter, you're in the bar, the Ferengi,
Quark.
Quark's bar, and the workers are in full costume, and you can order drinks and all this stuff. Then you get in line for the ride. The line. What was brilliant is it's a long line, but they made a Star Trek museum. So the line, you go up and down these rows, and you're looking at the props from the show and learning about things behind the scenes. So it's a Star
Mhm.
Trek museum that you walk through as you wait in line. So that makes the time pass. Then you get there, and it is so good the way they did it. You walk up, and the door opens, and you walk into a regular elevator.
Yeah.
The door shuts, and then all of a sudden the lights start flickering, and everything starts moving, and there's wind blowing, and you feel like you're plummeting, but you're not. But you feel that they are able to make that feeling, and then when the door opens, it's the bridge of the Enterprise, and you walk out, you're on the bridge, the sirens are going, the red alert is going off, and on the screen you see a Klingon vessel shooting at the bridge, and things are shaking, and they're like, we have to evacuate, we have to evacuate. Then Jean-Luc Picard comes up on the screen, and he's talking to us saying, the Klingons have discovered that one of you are my ancestors. I am a descendant of one of you in this on board right now. And the Klingons have gone back in time to your time period to try to destroy my descendant or my ancestor before
Yeah.
I'm born, to prevent me from being born. So we got to get you to safety. So you're running through the bridge, then down some hallways, and then you get into another elevator. Doors closed, doors open. Now you're in a shuttle bay, and there's a shuttle there. You get into the shuttle, it's now a 3D ride, and
Okay.
you take off out of the Enterprise's bay, and you're flying through this Las Vegas as the Klingon bird of prey are coming at you, shooting at you. Your ship is shaking, and it's a really fun ride. And it's a fully immersive 3D where like it's projected all around you. So you look to the side and above, and you can see what's happening as like the 10 or 15 of us are all on this shuttle. And
Yeah.
then you finally make it back. The bird of prey gets destroyed, and you fly back to the Enterprise, land. You get out, and they thank you for your bravery and all this stuff, and then they escort you out, and you're back at Quark's bar. It was so amazing. It was so fun. I
I'm
could
sh-
see Disney wanting to recreate something like that for the Orville.
I could see that. Different things. My thing was with the Orville is they had a good presence at San Diego this year in terms of having the panel. It was not in Hall H. They never were, but it was in Ballroom 20. Ballroom 20 is the only thing bigger is Hall H.
Mhm.
There's a lot of different smaller ballrooms used, but Ballroom 20 is where uh, the big stuff is done that's not big enough for Hall H,
Yeah.
and it was packed. I was there all day. That's where I saw several different panels that I wanted to see. I saw Evil in the morning, and I'd stayed through, and it was pretty much a Seth MacFarlane day for a lot of it because they did Family Guy, American Dad, and then they did Simpsons. And then, of course, it ended with the Orville for me. I think they did something afterwards. It was a gaming one I didn't stay for. But it was as much as they brought into that, and the fact that they Skyped in through Zoom or whatever, Seth MacFarlane, so he was live on the screen talking and answering questions and interacting instead of just doing a video like, "Hey, I'm sorry I can't be there." He was, but where he said he was at, he's working on something. Well, he's working on the TED TV series that
Yeah.
Scott Grimes is going to star in. So I think that that I think we'll see the Orville get announced. We won't see it next year. It'll probably be 2024 as the earliest we'll see it, just for the fact that they haven't started on it yet in terms of actual production. It's going to take a little while to ramp it back up. But I hope it does get renewed. I think that with the studio saying, "Hey, we're going to have a presence with them at San Diego," if they weren't planning anything past this season, I don't think they would have spent the time and money to bring everybody in.
Let's see. I just pulled up some articles. The Orville season 4 is a blank slate, is how the article goes. So it sounds like
it's a blank slate, but they've already set up that. And then here's a spoiler for you guys. For Isaac and his type of people, they've kind of come to an agreement with them. But now you've got the Krill and what's Bortus's planet?
Mocklin.
Mocklin have left Mocklin's left the Union, have joined up with the Krill.
Mm-hmm.
So we have they've gone to what looked like to me is going to be more of they've dealt with the Borg issue. That's done. And they're going back to classic Star Trek of Romulan, Klingon type battle. And that's where we get the Mocklin and the Krill.
I think the other focus would be, it really depends on how much time Seth MacFarlane has to make Ed Mercer a major focus. But I think I really see the next story arc being him trying to find his daughter. And
that I think would be an initial thing. And that would tie in the whole, almost like the whole Romulan Federation thing we've seen throughout some of Star Trek, going a little more deep into that style of storytelling, as well as like I said with the Mocklins. And also the fact that they're now going to be dealing with Kaelon more, their technology may be changing again.
Right.
So we should see a lot of that. But I think it's going to set a lot more of those classic Trek dynamics that Seth likes to introduce throughout the series.
Yep, for sure.
So
good stuff. I look forward to whatever it is. I have full faith in Seth MacFarlane's whatever direction he goes. I think he's proven himself as probably the single best. He's taken sci-fi so much better than what Star Trek has done. I've really enjoyed Strange New Worlds, but honestly, that's the first thing I've enjoyed thoroughly on Star Trek in a while. And I think season 3 of Orville was even better than Strange New Worlds.
Yeah. I think a lot of it because it had 2 seasons already behind it to help build upon the lore they set up.
Yeah.
And to go from there. So and the thing is if by chance it doesn't get renewed, I've enjoyed rewatching the first couple seasons. I'm probably gonna go through season 3 again here over the next several weeks with other stuff. But it's a series like Serenity I will happily revisit again.
Yeah.
And still want more, at least for now. So hopefully we'll get more. We'll see what happens.
And it sounds like all the actors are willing to be on board. So I think, and even if there's some that aren't, with it being a clean slate, they can really go in any direction. Like, it'd be very easy just to say 2 years have passed and we have some new crew members.
Well, and I could do that, but hopefully I don't place too many people. And then of course, season 3, they get, we now know that Bortus and Clyden have renewed their vows.
Oh God.
That was hilarious. I gotta say, that was probably the funniest thing that happened this season because it was like, I'm laughing. The whole thing is, and this premise is, since they had kind of divorced, they decided to recommit. And since Clyden tried to kill him a couple of seasons ago, and even though they were still together, to recommit, they had to chase him, and he doesn't. And
in his underwear.
Yeah, in their underwear, and Clyden cannot want to be caught. He has to hide. So it's hilarious. He's hiding on trees, going looking like this, all scared. But when they catch each other, it's like, oh, thank God they cut away.
Oh, yeah. I was a little concerned when they were disrobing.
Yep. And I've seen a few behind the scenes photos of them sitting like in the trucks or waiting for them to go on set, and they're just sitting in the full makeup bodysuits and so I do say I like what the whole thing they deal with Bortus and Clyden and the crazy stuff they throw in for them.
With Bortus though, and is played by Chad Coleman in real life, who was in Walking Dead. So I really, even knowing it's Chad Coleman, I can see the eyes, but that's it. He acts so different as Bortus. I don't see it.
Yeah. Well, and the thing with that is, it shows what good actors. Well, and Chad's actually Clyden. Bortus is not Clyden. It's Chad. So Clyden is the mate to the
Oh
Peter.
wait.
Peter Macon plays Bortus.
Oh well, that
Cl-
might be why I don't
yeah,
see Chad Coleman in him.
Clyden, played by Chad Coleman, plays a very softer character because we learned through
Yeah,
the series that Clyden was
I definitely
originally
didn't.
female and had been
Yeah,
changed.
I definitely didn't realize it. Yeah, it just didn't strike me as that would be Chad Coleman.
Yeah,
Wow.
and same thing with Peter Macon. He's been around for a long time. A lot of stuff on his credits too, voice acting versus live action stuff. And like he was in Shameless for a season, played Dominique's father. He's played some harder characters. He's played a Master Chief and SEAL Team, so he plays kind of that harder character. So of course, as Bortus, that comes out perfectly. But then you get Clyde and we get Chad Coleman, who was was not it wasn't a fully hard character, but wasn't really soft here. But in Walking Dead, definitely plays it very softer.
Yeah,
Has more of the female tone involved in that. Um, but it shows how good actors they are because they're both
oh
very
yeah,
good in the roles and hilarious. I just like their interaction. I mean, especially like I said, I just watched the one yesterday with the cigarettes and
yeah,
and how addicted they get to nicotine and everything else, and the way they acted. So it was just perfect. They were hilarious. It showed that both of them playing it sort of very straight came out very comedic because it was meant to be straight played to be very comedic at the same time. So
yeah. One last talking about the actors. The actor
yep,
who plays Isaac too.
yep,
We got to see his face a lot this season because they've come up with a hologram version. Like he's
yep.
able to make a human version of himself through a hologram, and so we've gotten to do see him a lot interact in human form.
Yeah, and they did a great job with the building the relationship between him and the doctor again, dealing with
Mhm.
those issues. They had done that in the second season with the hologram and him being, creating the facade, and he was at the panel as well. And it's funny because the I think I mentioned this a few episodes back, but the doctor got asked questions. She played on DS9, had relationships with like Cisco. What's her favorite relationship? And he fortunately answered it. He goes, "I'm sitting right here." So they all laughed, and then she mentioned how much she enjoys the relationship with Isaac, the character, but through Mark Jackson, of course, who does a great job.
Yeah,
So I definitely, if you've not watched The Orville and you've sat through us talking about it like this without getting too deep into it, but a few spoilers here and there, go check it out, watch it. It's one of the best sci-fi shows out there in the last several years.
it really is.
And while it starts off season one, there's a lot more humor and kind of a little overplay on certain, open, this jar of pickles jokes. It does get better and better. You can see where Seth had started off more humorous and want to direct it towards a more serious tone and better storytelling. And I think
Yeah,
he has better storytelling.
for
So,
sure.
all right. Hey, join us next week. We'll be hanging out, talking more stuff. And I'm not sure what we'll talk about next week. We'll talk probably a little She-Hulk. We'll probably get a little bit of House of the Dragon. I'll get caught up by then.
Yeah, that'll
And
be we could cover the
a few other
first
things.
couple episodes.
And if I get a chance to see that new horror movie that Scott saw, maybe we'll talk a little
Oh,
about that too.
so I'm not going to say anything on it other than if you haven't seen or know anything about the movie The Invitation, it's PG-13. It's horror, but it's PG-13 horror, so it's not like horrible. Um, Jill wanted to see it. I saw the trailer and I thought, oh, that looks interesting. From the trailer, all you know is there's this woman. She does a DNA test. She finds out she has distant relatives in England. They invite her over because they want to get to know her. She's invited to a family wedding. And in the trailer, she's like, so who's the bride and groom? And the way everyone looks, it implies she's going to be the bride. So that's all you know from the trailer. And then there's some chase scenes happening. People are running and screaming. That's the trailer. So I went in not having no clue. There's an amazing twist. Like, as the story goes on, you're like, oh, okay, this is interesting. Then it starts going more, and you're like, oh, and then the twist is revealed, and you're like, oh. So I really enjoyed it. I was not expecting. I thought it looks okay, but I enjoyed it. So
Okay.
I think more so because I didn't know the twist. I think if I knew the twist, I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much. So that's why. So don't look it up. Just go see it.
I don't think I was looking up. I was trying to see who produced it. It wasn't a Blumhouse production, was it?
Yeah, I'm just saying, don't look it up to the people in general.
No,
Don't look up spoilers because I think the twist makes it better. Let's see the invitation.
Yeah,
I think the girl from Game of Thrones is the main actress. She was like the one who always advised Khaleesi.
That's what it looked like. Yeah, I saw a picture. It looks like her. Yeah.
Produced by Emily Gladstone, director Jessica Thompson, writer Blair Butler.
Yeah, that was Missandei from Game of Thrones. Yep, that was her. She's got a pretty good credit too, so I like her. She's good.
She did good in it.
I'll definitely go try to check this out. I'll have to see about it. It sounds interesting. So
yeah, so it's just the twist is what I think makes it good.
Okay.
So
excellent. So anything else before we sign off here, Scott?
I think that's everything.
All right, guys. Hey, have a great week, everybody. Be safe over the Labor Day holiday, and we will see you on the other side.
Yeah.
Bye.